remember, and maybe it's so long you can't remember what it was like to have endless energy. Because what happens is when you don't have energy, you're so lethargic and you're so depressed because you can't everything is a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle to get out there, and the struggle takes away your joy. And when you are missing your joy, then life becomes arduous. It's drudgery.
Yeah.
This gives you back at the cellular level the kind of energy you had naturally when you were younger. And that's when your mitochondria were plentiful, when they were working properly. And so they were protecting you and generating all that ATP to help you do whatever you want to do without you even knowing about it. It was just automatic.
That's amazing. It's like, when you listen to like a podcast like this, and sometimes you put it on 2 or 3 speed, and that's how I feel like aging is. It's like everything's just happening so fast.
Yeah.
What I feel like is this is like putting it on half a speed.
Yeah.
And like it slows that aging process down so that you're not going through your 40s, 50s, 60s and just feeling like every day is like a new body, a new mind.
Yeah. Because the thing is, and this is what was so great about what I've had to do, is you start to learn how your body functions. Like we know more about our cell phones than we do about our bodies. And we know that we have to plug our cell phone in at night to charge it. You wouldn't even expect your phone to work if you didn't charge it. But we expect our bodies to keep going without a recharge or a reset.
Right.
And if you just understand what your body needs and you start to give it what it needs, it works beautifully.
Yeah.
And we had all what we needed up until the age of 30. So we thought that was going to keep going forever.
Yeah, that's right.
Stop. Right. Guess what? Time out. Not. But so algae replaces all those things that we had naturally up until 30. And so that you can get back to the way you used to feel when you were that age. I just keep, I take for granted how I feel. But then, we're at a show here at KetoCon and people are telling me about, this disease they have and that disease. And I'm thinking, wow, I've been taking for granted how great I feel.
So true.
And I forget that, when you say 60% of adults have a chronic disease, and if they're in my age group, it's 85%. And I don't have any of that. And I take no medications. I think, wow. I guess this stuff really does work.
What do we know about what it does for like mood disorders? Because one of the statistics I heard a few months ago that just is burning on my heart is that the most common time of life for a woman to commit suicide is between 45 and 55.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's a neurochemical shift.
Yeah.
So do we have any research?
Well, that's again the mitochondria. There's two. Remember, when you think of your cell and there's a nucleus in there and these little mitochondria, 2 million per cell. And how many cells do we have? 300,000 trillion.
I was just going to say.
So I don't know. It's a number that you can't even.
Yeah.
So when they are damaged, nothing is working. Your synapses aren't working. You've got amyloid plaques probably because there's toxins and chemicals and aluminum up there. You've got all this disease. The cells can't communicate.
Yeah.
I tell people, so what happens is when your mitochondria get damaged, this electron transport chain, which is like, I say it's like a relay race. And so there's these 5 stations and each station passes the electrons to the next station, to the next station. So like in a relay race, someone passes the baton and the goal is to cross the finish line. Well, the goal in your electron transport chain is to get to the ATP, the final station where ATP is produced. But if your mitochondria are damaged, those stations, the mitochondria expand and the stations get further and further and further apart. So it's harder and harder for the baton to get past it. So the electrons get dropped, which causes even more free radical damage. I tell people it's like asking Tom Brady to do a pass in a stadium that's 5 times the size of a normal stadium. So the damage just gets worse and worse because the mitochondria get expanded, more electrons get dropped, there's more free radical damage, more inflammation. And so it doesn't stop. And so I think that's the time when they do the suicide is because they remember what they used to feel like.
Yeah.
And there is nothing they've been taking to get them back there. And they can't bear the thought of this being their future.
Yeah.
And so, everybody, especially women, I mean, this will heal your brain because it's giving your brain the nourishment that it had, the protection that it had when you were younger. These nutrients do not exist in food.
Yeah.
The phycocyanin has been proven to, like I said, to kill cancer cells. It also is an antioxidant. The the superoxide dismutase. These are nutrients you need that your body gave you automatically until you were 30, and then it started dropping. So by the time you are 40, you don't have that protection. Your superpowers are gone.
Yeah.
And that's why I think truly this is a superfood. I call it a super duper food.
It's more fun to say it that way.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the protein content, because that's the other thing that we've been doing in my Reset Academy. We've been really helping that community see the power of protein, especially if you're going to break a fast with protein.
Yeah.
But then we have all these questions about like, well, if I do something like a bit like we've been experimenting with aminos in a fasted state.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, well, is that going to pull you out of autophagy?
Yeah.
Is that going to stop apoptosis?
Yeah.
So, but when we opened it up and you said it's got a lot of protein, that was another thing I thought, oh my gosh, we're trying to get more protein into these women.
Yeah.
So,
well, numerically, it doesn't look like a lot. So like we sell them in these little pouches, and there's 30 tablets. And by the way, when we first started, we got it accepted and found by the sports community.
oh yeah.
So we worked with Olympic athletes. We had so many Olympic athletes. I sent my team over to the Olympic Village, to the Olympic Games in Russia years ago. And anyway, so they love it because of the nourishment and the energy they get. But that's why there's 30, is because it took 30 before they started to feel some benefits. So in 30 tablets, there's 5 grams of protein. And you think, well, that's not much. But what I want people to understand is, because, especially with spirulina, which is a bacteria, so there's nothing to prevent the absorption, you get all those 5 grams instantly. Now, when you eat animal protein, the protein's all bound up, and it can take up to 2 to 3 days for your body to break it down into individual aminos. And by then, maybe you didn't have all the factors or cofactors. And so some reports I've seen say, on average, you absorb only maybe 10% of the protein as aminos. So let's say you had 50 grams of protein, but within 2 or 3 days, you've only absorbed 5 grams as aminos. So having 5, but the aminos in the algae, both of them, get into your body instantly.
Yeah.
And so you get all 5. So it's like having 50 grams of protein. So it's very efficient nutrition, very efficient protein. Well. For 15 or 20 calories, you're getting all the protein you need, all the vegetables, all the minerals, everything.